All right, so hopefully everyone can see my screen okay.
You are sharing the
Yep.
not the presentation view. It's the
How about now?
there you go. That's better.
That's better.
Okay. Awesome. So hi everyone. Great to have you all here today. I'm Jing. I'm the senior manager of the performance marketing team at Pet Valu. So my team oversees and manages everything under paid media and campaigns across the funnel, as well as our CRM program for the business. And I also just noticed that my Bitmoji, I'm matching with the outfit on my Bitmoji. So in the photo there also beside me is my coworker and my sidekick for the past 12 years, my 14-year-old cat. Her name is E. She keeps me working hard so I can pay her rent and feed her well. So today, I want to talk about email triggers and journeys and how we are creating memorable touch points with our customers, the pet parents, with some examples of how we are approaching this, as a business at Pet Valu. So hopefully this will spark some ideas for, your own projects and your own initiatives. So if we think about the world around us today, between your phone, your laptop, your iPad, and the TV, you're always bombarded with, all types of information, with news, different kinds of ads, TikTok. So it's really hard to get noticed by your audience sometimes. So how do you break through all of that so that your customers sees your brand and notices your message? So that's what I'm going to focus on today. The answer is relevance, and relevance. So when I think why customers, look at transactional emails more than promotional emails. You probably have very high open rates, engagement rates with your transactional emails compared to your promo emails. Well, it's because it's relevant. And as a customer, I want to know if you've received my order, when the order ships out, so that I can, expect it. It serves a very functional need for the customer. But on the other hand, for promotional emails, there's still ways to make it more relevant to your audience as well. So today we'll talk about the 4 pillars of creating relevance in a customer's omni-channel journey. So the first thing is, you have to know your customers and their needs. And from there, identify key touch points in their journey, because there's offline journeys and there's online, and often they intertwine, and it's not as simple as we like it to be, but so is our own behavior. So what are those key touch points? Thirdly, content is king and always will be king. And the last point is, creatives are very important. They play a critical role in bringing it all together. So let's first talk about how to, get to know your customers and their needs. So to really simplify and distill this, I think we can look at this from 3 easy dimensions. So first is who they are, and what do they buy from you? And the last thing, probably the most important, why they buy it from you instead of your competitors. So I also want to share how we at Pet Valu are approaching this. So for a long time, Pet Valu had been a company communicating only at a functional level. The messaging that we would deliver through ads, through email communications, are mostly about products, and they're very product driven, very promotions driven. And what we've discovered is that for those who have shopped with us in store, they know us, they know our store staff in their local communities, and they love us. So we have a very strong conversion rate for those who have shopped with us and know us. But there's also a larger audience of pet owners who are unfamiliar with who we are and the unique values behind our brand. And also the pet value, the value part in our name doesn't help with this. So in our brand pillar, there's 4 things that we focus on, and we know we do really well in. So those things are, 1, expertise. So our store staff has the wealth of knowledge to help, any pet owner with any product recommendations or any tips for their pets. Premium product selection. So we offer the best food aisles, pet food aisles in Canada. Memorable moments. So when we try to create any sort of communication, it's not just, communication. We want to make a memorable impact with everything that we do. We want to leave an impression which will differentiate us from our competition. And the last one is local and everywhere. So Pet Value and all of our banners have over 600 stores from coast to coast. And with the acquisition of Chico in Quebec, we now have more than 700 locations coast to coast, which is big. So in 2019, Pet Value undertook ethnographic research with a third-party company with the objective of identifying who we are and who are the customers that shop with us and love us. So from this exercise, we learned a lot about a segment of pet owners. We call them devoted pet lovers. So we call them DPLs. They share a set of attitudes, behavior, and mindset that closely aligns with, what we do best. So DPLs, these pet owners care deeply for their pets. We know they go above and beyond to give them the best life possible and look for pet stores that offer, the approachable expertise, personalized service, and caring support they need to in order to do that. And we know that outside of Pet Value, none of the other pet stores they shopped were meeting those expectations. Like some of them are, they have other products, like and then some other stores felt a little bit more warehousey, and there's just that it's missing that human interaction, and it's hard to find someone on the floor. So from here, we knew that we had to shift in the way that we communicate with our customers, and in order to attract new DPLs. And we know that we needed stronger brand storytelling that resonated on a deeper and more emotional level. So we've since then worked to refresh our brand guidelines, which really helps to tell that story with a refreshed brand tone. We've also kind of determined our brand colors that are truly ownable to us. And these are all important factors when you're trying to kind of differentiate yourself from your competition and sort of like hone in on your brand voice, how you come across to your customers. So I wanted to share some examples with you on how we are answering, customers' needs. How are we meeting that need through our promotional email? So here is 3 examples from our promotional email. So the first one, back to school. This was, very recent, and we know, if you have a pet at home, during the summer, everyone we're home probably sees you every day, and the kids. But as a lot of people are returning to work, either hybrid or just a few days a week, this impacts our pets, and they feel anxious as the routine change. So, we've put together communication with back to school tips and products that would help pet parents to kind of calm their pets. And then the second one here is a favorite, if you can see the wagging tails of the dog and the horse. So this one is part of our travel campaign this summer. So as people kind of held on traveling throughout the last 2 years in COVID, this year we were expecting a lot of people to go on road trips with their pets. If you're a pet owner, you either have to leave your pet at home or you bring them with you, but you would travel by car. So here we kind of included articles that would sort of give them expert tips on how to make sure your dog can ride comfortably in the car, coupled with other product recommendations that would help them make the trip successful as well. And then the last one here, beat the heat. So how to make a popsicle. They're trying to integrate, pets DPL friendly content and content that they would resonate with. Two-step process for making a popsicle for your dog. And hot tips. So there's also dog ice cream with a brand called Puppy Scoop. It's also very popular. This next one is an email that we deployed right before the Canada Day long weekend, where we reach out to our store staff, our ACEs, we call them, stands for Animal Care Experts. So we've reached out to the animal care experts in all of our stores across Canada, so that they can share what it means for being a Canadian and any of their personal stories that they wanted to share. So I think content from the store staff, especially if you're shopping in a local store and you see your ACE on there, I think these are the type of content coupled with the right timing just before Canada Day long weekend that will really sort of resonate with your audience, versus if we were just to kind of deploy an email with products made in Canada. So these are some examples of how we are kind of creating content based on what our audience would resonate with and what they would love to see. So the next thing is identify key touch points. So this one can be a much easier one, depending on the amount of data that you're able to collect and your data infrastructure in-house. So if you think about a customer's path to purchase, this can of course take different amount of time. So some are longer, some are much shorter, but in general, they're in these steps. So it starts with awareness. Are they aware of your brand and your business? And also, would they consider visiting you and shop with you? And once they've shopped, either they can receive their order online, or they can go pick up the order in store for click and collect. And then how do you sustain that relationship past that purchase, so they're a reoccurring customers for retailers? So throughout this journey, different types of email intercepts with the customer in different ways. So some require much more data and more accurate data points so that we can better pinpoint the timing of the email, especially for triggered emails and drip emails. And other ones like mass promo emails doesn't require as much data. So this really comes down to 3 steps for identifying key touch points. So first, you need to identify the touch points that are meaningful for the customer as well as for the business, and also using data to inform the timing of the email. And you might not always have all the data readily available to kind of be very accurate with the timing. And I'll share an example of how we're tackling that internally. And then the last step is test, learn, and always iterate. So ideally, your your organization have the data infrastructure in place to be able to segment customers and to be able to trigger email based on those specific criteria, so it's timely. But what if you don't have the data pipelines in place? So I want to share an example of how we are approaching that. So one of the projects I worked on was a triggered email going out to pet owners to remind them to reorder their pet's food. So there's a lot of benefits for a food reminder email because it drives repeat orders, it drives loyalty, there's cross-sell potential. And also it's a great reminder of your brand at a very relevant moment. So if you know that someone usually restocks their dog's food every 30 days, and say you intercept them a few days earlier, they're running low on food. When your message hits, it's relevant. So you're gonna see higher engagement rates on that email. So currently we don't have a CDP, so a customer data platform that we can use. So we can't really sort of create, segments based on criteria and just push it into your email platform. And ideally, like any triggered email would begin with identifying and creating a specific audience segments. So in this case, like it would be customers who we know their food is running low based on their transactional history. And using those specific criteria and pushing it into the email platform, whether it's responses or Salesforce. So we don't have that. So what we have done is really to, so this is the look of the email. So what we've done is we want to just have a pilot up and running, collect some data, and just create manual segments. So we've narrowed down to loyalty customers only because we have the most robust and fulsome data. We have their transactional history, whether it's in store or online, because most people would, give their loyalty number when they check out. And also we wanted to just hone in on a single brand of dog food instead of, going with all the different brands of dog food. So we know that it's, very tricky to come up with a certain, average number of days when pet owners would restock, because this depends on a lot of different factors. So whether someone have a big dog and small dog. So if you have a big dog, you'll go through the food much quicker versus a small dog. And also how many dogs they have in the house. We don't have any insights into that. So instead, we clustered customers based on similar shopping patterns. And from that, we arrived with 8 segments of behavior. So there's, the early purchasers, say these people, they purchase very early, around just arbitrarily 20 days. And then you have your early mid, maybe they're around like 25 days, mid late, and late. And there's also 2 different bag sizes. So we would, have a segment for medium bags and then have a different segment for large bags. So 4 kind of segments times the 2 bag sizes. So that's a total of 8 different segments. We then decided to just have a monthly send. So the 8 lists would be a snapshot of which customer qualify at that single day in the month. So if they qualify, they'll receive the email. So how we are going to measure this with the test group, it's the customers in the 8 segments that receives the reorder email, and the control group is essentially customers in the segments that didn't receive the email. So whether they could have purchased ahead of their usual cycle, or they just didn't fit into the criteria when we took the snapshot on, say, day 3 of the month because it's too close to their the time that they last purchased. And we would measure this based on the variance between the expected purchase date versus the actual purchase date. So we can know, did they purchase any earlier? And also we can measure, increase of wallet through cross-sell, because in our email, we're driving to also different kinds of other categories. So, you might also like treat of the month or, top products. So this is the test that we have for customers, given that there's not enough data or data automation to kind of have this trigger, but there are still ways to set a pilot up and get some initial learnings. And when the data infrastructure gets built later, you can take this learning to fuel the strategy when you have that data infrastructure there. So the third thing is content. So content really starts with knowing your audience, which goes back to the first point. You need to know your audience to know what content resonates with them. So we know that our DPLs like that personal and warm interaction in store. They go to our ACEs in store for knowledge, product recommendations, tips for their pets. So we really want to bring those warm human interactions from offline to online. So how do we do that? So some of these examples here. So we have a pet appreciation month where customers can buy a paw on behalf of their pets, and then it's a donation that goes right back to the local community. So instead of just kind of sending out emails to communicate, hey, paw is currently on at your local store, but we also have circled back with, hey, here's how we did, and here is how you have helped pets in need in your local community. Because as a customer, if you have donated, a few days later, you might come back to ask the store staff, hey, how do we do, right? So we want to kind of bring those things into our CRM communications as well. The second example here is our top rated email. So I think as a customer, we all love reading reviews. If there's new products that you're considering, it's so important to kind of see what others think about this product. If you see 5-star or 4.5 star rating product with 8,000 reviews or 500 reviews, you feel so much better and you want to try that product. So this is all the top products with the highest amount of stars on our website. So this also ties into the ACE expertise in letting the customer know which are the best selling products at pit value. And then next two really talks about seasonally relevant themes. So adventure with their pets with some articles, if DPLs were interested in exploring more. And then the last one is our email for Mother's Day. So that little note there in the email, really resonated with me as a mom. Thank you for everything you do. It does get noticed. So love that. Okay, so the last one is creatives. So creatives here are both design and copy. So the example I wanted to share here today is when we refreshed our transactional emails. So transactional emails serve a very functional need. You want to know your order status, when you can go into the store to pick up your order, if it's a click and collect. So it has a very functional need, and customers expect to receive key information and to see it laid out in a very clear and easy to follow way. But the great thing about transactional emails is the scale. So think about like how many customers are on your email subscriber list that would actually open and engage with the email versus like how many of your customers will open your transactional email. the volume is huge. So a lot of businesses still use transactional emails as a vehicle to deliver order details. But for a lot of transactional emails I've seen, if you remove the brand name and the logo, you would not know which business this is from. It's very generic. The copy, the language doesn't sort of stand for what business you're in, doesn't stand for your brand tone. So there's so much potential to do more in transactional emails. So this is what drove the strategy for our refresh. So we wanted to use this as an opportunity to highlight our evolved brand purpose and our evolved brand tone, and to make it fun and memorable. So we also want to, use the fonts and the illustration to be ownable by our brand. So the font is a purchased font, and illustrations are something that's ownable for Pet Value. We hired an illustrator to create a set of illustrations for us. So this is the type of things that would differentiate you from your competition. And the copy here, when someone receives the order confirmation email, we've really catered it to a DPL language, because we want our DPLs to know, we are devoted pet lovers too. So when someone receives the order confirmation email, it reads "fetching it" with a little dog. I think that's a little Scottish Terrier there. "We're getting your order ready. Don't head to the store just yet." And then, we also reject the layout of our emails, so that key information is at top. So your reference number, if you have an issue with your order, you can always call our customer care service. And then also a status bar. So, the order has been placed, it's ready for pickup, picked up. There's a different status bar for direct to consumer orders. And then if you placed a click and collect order, it has, when the order is ready for pickup, your store location, store hour, etc. And then the second email, when your order is ready for pickup, headline is "Right Meow, your order is ready for pickup." We also want to kind of showcase the breadth of our categories. So dog, cat, and small pets. So the third one sort of brings out the small pets representation. Don't forget about it. Your order is ready for pickup before X date. And then the last one there, "Totally awesome. Thank you for picking up your order." Just, copy can go a long way in leaving an impression. If you come across, with a fun brand tone that still kind of aligns with your brand guidelines, of course, there's so much potential to making an impact with your customers. So I think I have 2 minutes, so we're right on time. Last tip that I want to leave you with is to think big and start small. So it's important to think big to ensure that you consider, the full range of factors to determine your CRM strategy. But even more important is to start small, so that you can test and continuously iterate. It also helps you to build your business case and prove out your concept. And what I've learned is, don't wait until timing is the most ideal, when you have the right tech, when you have better data. There's always something you can do with the current amount of data, whether you have to send it manually. It's an infinite process of building and reiterating. And eventually, when the data pipelines are there, you already have a wealth of insights to kind of fuel that strategy.
Awesome.
All right, so thank you. Hope you were able to have some takeaways and ideas from the session today.
That was great. Thank you very much. We have one comment in the questions that said, "As a consumer, I love the content. Great job." So as I said, that came from Travis in the audience, but I loved the transactional message headers that you guys created. That really resonated with me as a pet owner, and the different sort of stages of we're going to get it, come and pick it up, with the cute headlines. That was fantastic. One of the questions that came in, when it comes to, over the last 2 years with curbside pickup being so important and such, have you looked at sort of those integrations with the delivery services as well, and how that would tie in, whether it's, Instacart or Uber or any of those sort of delivery services on demand for your consumer base?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, and I think we are lucky in the sense that we have such a big footprint with our physical locations. Around 70% of pet owners in Canada are within like 5 kilometers away from a Pet Value. And we know people, throughout COVID, like I think one thing that we all missed is that personal interaction. And when you go into the store, it's no longer about picking up dog food anymore. It's like that human interaction and that experience in store. So we have considered that, but I think we're really leaning into what we're great in, which is leading customers into store to kind of experience that, and also get that conversation going with our aces in store, so that we can really help them out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.